Hey guys, I'm here to talk about a new project I've started working on called Puzzle Blast. It's a video game that I've been developing for a short while that sort of combines my 2D platformer with my puzzle grid bejeweled type game. Um, so, to sort of explain quickly, the player is able to gain power ups to use in the 2D platformer by solving or matching tokens on a grid. And it explains more in how to play. So if I go into basic info, you got to jump over pipes, avoid enemies, and use power ups to make it to the end. When you arrive at the puzzle grid, you'll have a limited amount of time to match tokens and try and gain as many power-ups from it as you can. So for every row you solve, there's a 50% chance that the associated power-up will appear at the nearby red pipe. You only have a limited amount of time because I set up an enumerator function that causes the puzzle grid to destroy itself after a certain amount of time once the player passes a trigger. So, yeah. The power-ups. So, this just tells you what all the power-ups do. So, the cherry basically increases the player's speed. The sword allows the player to swing a sword at enemies, and it does a lot more damage than the ball that you get from the strawberry power-up does. So, but of course it's closer range. The armor basically will give the player extra life. So in the game, I'll have like there will be a sort of bar above where the player's HP is, and that's sort of the armor bar, and it sort of functions basically just like an extra layer of health. So if you get armor, that will be destroyed rather than your actual HP, but once you're out of armor, your HP will take damage from enemies instead. The invisibility potion will allow the player to temporarily become invisible for, I think, about 15 seconds, which can allow you to sneak past these flying drone enemies that I set up. So these flying drone enemies will sort of show up, and at one point in the these flying drone enemies will show up in the level. They fly in a sort of random pattern, but when the player gets near, if they're not invisible, the enemies will sort of follow the player. If they are invisible, they'll ignore the player. And then the strawberry just does what it always does, which is allows the player to spawn a ball that they can kick at enemies in order to do damage. So I'm going to start it up, and you'll notice that I have set up all these boxes, which I just sort of set up to be able to demonstrate all the different power-ups. So first I'll show off the strawberry, even though I've shown it in previous videos before. You can spawn that, you can kick that around. I'll make all these other power-ups appear, and Yeah, so if I grab this cherry, the player is able to run a little bit faster now. So that ups your speed. I'm going to grab the invisibility potion last. But if I grab this armor, you'll notice that in this bar here, a blue square just appeared, so that just means I have one piece of armor. So if an enemy hits me, that armor will take damage rather than me. So now I'll also grab this sword. You can swing it around with E, and when you get the sword power up, it kind of it sort of overrides the ball power up. Yeah, it looks a little strange right now. I'm hoping to maybe get a better sprite for the main character in the future that makes more sense with the sword. But I'm just using these assets right now to test my mechanics. So if I grab this invisibility potion, you'll see I've turned transparent. So yeah, enemies wouldn't be able to see me right now. So now I can solve this grid, but this grid will destroy itself, after a certain amount of time. But let's see if I actually got any. So yeah, one of the power-ups did spawn on this pipe when I matched the invisibility tokens, which is actually perfect because since my last invisibility potion wore off, I can now demonstrate this. So if I grab this and I go to these enemy drones, they will all just completely ignore me. They don't move towards me, they just sort of move in these random directions. But now that it's worn off, they start moving towards me, yeah. And I can attack them with this sword. So yeah. So yeah, as you can see, that sword does a lot of damage. Yeah, so those are the basic new mechanics that I've implemented for now. I'm going to continue to add more. I think I want to add some more power-ups that do some more interesting things, like maybe a laser gun, and I also want to add more types of enemies because there's not really a lot of variety of enemies right now. So I want to add more types of enemies that do different things. But yeah, so that's the game I have for now. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.